Hello to you, our viewers. It is our pleasure to welcome you to this latest edition of the news in English on Rwanda Television. My name is Sarah Shinhore. I'll be sitting in for Sam Kalisa. Let us begin with the headlines. Progress has continued to be made in the implementation of the Rwanda-UK Migration and Economic Partnership Treaty. Investors from Rwanda and Zimbabwe are gathered in Kigali for the third business forum between the two countries. 48 girls have been returned to their families after a year at the Gitagata Rehabilitation Center, where they learned vocational skills that will help them as they integrate back into society. And on the international scene, hundreds of thousands of children in Eswatini are facing dire circumstances due to an orphanage crisis in that kingdom that has left many of them living in desperate conditions. Now the details, I'm glad you're able to join us. The project of constructing 1,500 homes for asylum seekers from the UK is close to completion here in Rwanda. Prince Manzi has the details.
The UK ran the 60 billion Rwanda francs deal of constructing 1,500-story buildings on a 12 hectares land to accommodate asylum seekers and various Rwandans was signed in March 2023. The coordinator of the Migration and Economic Development Partnership, Dr. Doris Uwicheza, reiterates that a lot is in place for effectively acquiring asylum seekers.
Preparations are going well for receiving asylum seekers. The ongoing preparations include asylum processing. There is a tribunal also being worked on. They include also how they will be accessing various services like health, education and work. Houses in Gahanga are on a 75% completion. Some are already available and we are in process of discussing with the owners.
The Committee on Foreign Affairs, Cooperation and Security in the Senate on Monday reviewed all three of the terms of the agreement between Rwanda and the UK on the reception of asylum seekers to be deported in Rwanda. This committee is the one to make the report to be submitted to plenary session that we then vote on this law. The Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Clementine Mukeka, elaborates.
And the signing of the treaty really reaffirms our commitment to making the migration and economic development partnership work. And this new treaty re-emphasizes in a binding manner already existing commitments that we made together to address concerns in the legal process about the protection of asylum seekers. And we think it's a decisive and innovative action on the global humanitarian crisis created by the broken migration and asylum systems.
In addition to the UK-Rwanda Immigration and Economic Partnership Agreements, Dr. Doris Uwicheza adds that there are those that are said to be sent to Rwanda voluntarily.
The agreement between the UK and asylum seekers, there are those willing to be deported voluntarily, but that is not the agreement being reviewed. Those are other discussions aside.
There's a coordination unit established in charge of the asylum seekers who will be sent by the UK, and there are 151 staff trained for these responsibilities. There's also a law on asylum seekers and the migrants that is expected to be ratified in the short term. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince. Now, investors from Rwanda and Zimbabwe are gathered here in Kigali for the third business forum between the two countries, with both sides looking into ways of increasing investment in their respective regions through the available opportunities on offer. We have the details on that as well.
As the forum begins, it has been noted that though much has been achieved thanks to the cooperation that exists between both countries, this is just the beginning.
While we celebrate the significant growth in trade between our nations over the past 3 years, there is still much more that can be done. We must continue to explore avenues to enhance bilateral trade and investment, particularly in sectors such as manufacturing, finance, real estate, and construction. Improving the ease of doing business is paramount to attracting more investment and fostering entrepreneurship.
Over the last 4 years, bilateral trade between Rwanda and Zimbabwe has increased by 50%, and the forum is being seen as an opportunity to significantly increase that figure.
Trade between the two countries is currently through the multilateral trade agreement of COMESA and our bilateral cooperations. Both Zimbabwe and Rwanda are members of COMESA, which gives duty and quota-free access on qualifying products. This business forum, ladies and gentlemen, will offer both countries an opportunity to forge new partnerships and attract more foreign investments.
As many as 15 energy projects have already been commenced between both countries, and since 2022, 150 Zimbabwean teachers have been injected into Rwanda's education sector.
Zimbabwean companies have invested more than $38 million in Rwanda since the last Zimbabwe-Rwanda Business Forum, and we have seen 8 Rwandan companies start operations in energy, in IT, and agro-processing in Zimbabwe as well. And so for the next few days while we meet, we have got a very solid foundation to start from, to grow more collaboration and partnerships between our two business communities.
The economic opportunities are not limited just to Rwanda and Zimbabwe, something both sides recognize and are eager to exploit.
We are not only here to do business with you, but we also want your assistance to make sure that we penetrate the region. And equally, if you come to Zimbabwe, we are also there to make sure that you penetrate the SADC region. Yes, we are landlocked, but we pride ourselves in being called land-linked.
The third Rwanda-Zimbabwe Business Forum has brought together 92 businessmen and women from Zimbabwe and 160 from Rwanda.
Political analysts here in Africa have been noting that the rights of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese nationals should be respected. Otherwise, it will be evident that the world learned nothing from the 1994 genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi here in Rwanda. We have more on that as well.
The fighting between the M23 rebel group and the DRC's armed forces and their allies that include the FDLR terrorist group that includes perpetrators of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi here in Rwanda has continued to have a terrible effect on Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese nationals, with hundreds of thousands having been forced to flee their homeland and others killed. M23 picked up weapons, saying it intended to remind the government in Kinshasa to implement the agreement it signed in 2013 that includes ensuring the security of its own citizens in the eastern part of that country and to include them in national programs that benefit all the country's people. The people in that region became part of the Congo when Africa was partitioned in Berlin during the 1884 conference there. The hatred towards that community intensified after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, when soldiers that belonged to the fallen Habyarimana regime, known as the ex-FAR, fled Rwanda into what was then Zaire with weapons, spreading their genocidal ideologies in what would later become the Democratic Republic of Congo. In December 1996, at the International Peace Academy in New York, Tanzania's first president, the late Julius Nyerere, who had served as head of state from 1964 to 1985, told the world that the problem of the Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese would never end as long as their own government continued to ignore it and deny its own people their rights as citizens.
So when we say respect that border, which was agreed between the Germans and the Belgians, we must also be saying respect the people whom you received under that partition. You can't turn around and say, we no longer want you. You are no longer citizens of our country. What are you going to do? Are you going to return them alone, or you return them with the piece of land? You can't say go home where?
The words of Julius Nyerere have continued to ring true over the decades, with other African leaders urging the government in Kinshasa to stop burying its head in the sand when it comes to the issue of the rights of its own people.
Now he contacted me to say, I've been appointed in this thing, what do you think? So we discussed the matter, and indeed I told him what I thought, that the first challenge to overcome is to get the Congolese to understand that is a Congolese problem. It doesn't originate from outside of the Congo. Because of the population in the Kivus felt the need to defend itself.
Even political analysts recognize the simple truth that blaming other countries for a problem that is completely internal in nature is no better than pouring kerosene on an open flame, hoping to put it out.
The M23 are people of Tutsi origin who are Congolese. But they are now being told, no, you are not Congolese, you are Rwandese, and that is why you see the frequent accusations that the Rwandese government is supporting them in quite a number of neighbors. If such a conflict were to take place, and let people not be cheated, and President Kagame has been on record as saying that we don't want any conflict, but if it is brought on us, then we are going to defend ourselves to the last person. And that is exactly what is going to happen. The assumption that Rwanda is a little country that you can overwhelm in a few days is completely misguided.
The irony of all of this is that the silence of the international community on the issue has in itself spoken volumes about the nature of the problem. It seems just speaking the Kinyarwanda language is reason enough for a person to be put to death. People are being victimized for the way they look, the language they speak, and where they live. They did not choose for their homeland to become part of the Congo. It is history that made them what they are. Those who remember what happened in 1994 have chosen to forget. We live in a world that forgets too quickly. Just as UNAMIR was here saying that it would not use force to stop the genocide against the Tutsi, in the Congo, MONUSCO is there acting like what is happening doesn't concern them. The problem is the UN that refuses to change its ways. Political analysts also point out that some of the world's powers are allowing the problem in the eastern DRC to escalate because of their economic interests in that country, all the while with the DRC's government having chosen not to implement the Nairobi and Luanda Accords that sought a peaceful solution, agreements it committed to, and instead has resorted to war. The Ministry of Health has identified MSH, Management Sciences for Health, as one of its key partners in achieving Rwanda's ambitious goal of quadrupling the healthcare workforce within the next 4 years. On Monday, members of MSH from various countries around the world are gathered here in Kigali for a 5-day meeting. Adam Squizera with more.
Dr. Anita Asimwe, Chief of Party of the USAID REME project in Rwanda under the MSH, highlights the organization's collaboration with the Ministry of Health in establishing foundational pillars in the health sector and facilitating access to medical services for the population.
Sustainable Development Goal ya gatatu niyo tuba
focusing on the third SDG, which aims to improve the well-being of people globally, is crucial. By safeguarding the lives of Rwandans and enhancing their quality of life, we contribute significantly to achieving this goal. As their lives improve, they become more empowered to collaborate with others in developing our nation. This collective effort is essential for the continued progress and the prosperity of Rwanda.
Marian Wentworth, the president and the chief executive officer of MSH, underscores the organization's steadfast commitment to making a substantial contribution to the development of the health sector and ensuring equitable access to health services for all.
We bring in people from more than 20 of the countries where we work to build their leadership, to build their skills so they can accomplish that mission more effectively. Rwanda is a wonderful place to come. It's a beautiful country. It's well organized. We have work here that is growing, and it has demonstrated so many things to the world about what progress in health can look like. So over time, Rwanda has been able to strengthen its approach to health financing. Rwanda has been building back its workforce for health, and it is getting very organized around universal health coverage.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Sabine Sanzimana, emphasized that after the genocide against Tutsi in 1994, Rwanda was left with only 20% of its healthcare workforce intact. Out of 5 pediatricians the country had at that time, only 1 remained, highlighting the critical shortage. This scarcity spurred Rwanda to intensify the efforts in bolstering the standards of its health sector. The Minister of Health acknowledges MSH as Rwanda's best partner in healthcare, particularly in efforts augments to the country's healthcare workforce.
hari ibyo tumaze igihe dutegura cyane cyane kwigisha abakora mu rwego rw'ubuzima benshi.
In our ongoing discussions with the MSH, we are strategizing on how to collaborate over the next 5 years, focusing on priorities within the health sector. Our shared emphasis is on prioritizing the education, particularly for long-term sustainability. MSH's assistance extends to building a comprehensive healthcare infrastructure, including training personnel, providing equipment, and improving clinical construction and maintenance. We expect that such efforts will yield significant benefits for the country. Establishing a robust healthcare standard from the grassroots level is pivotal for Rwanda's overall development and well-being.
Nubwo n'abandi badufasha mu zindi ngamba ariko urwo kubaka urwego rw'ubuzima uhereye ku misingi ni ikintu gikomeye.
The Ministry of Health reports that currently there are approximately 1,000 nurses in Rwanda. The goal is to quadruple this number, which will coincide with an increase in the number of midwives as well. Some of the key activities undertaken by the Management Sciences for Health MSH, which operates in over 36 countries worldwide, with a primarily focus in Africa, encompass various aspects of healthcare. These activities include initiatives targeting child and maternal health, as well as efforts aimed at combating diseases such as HIV/AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, and non-communicable diseases. Adams Kwizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, with a few days left to the Taste Flavors of Kigali Festival, chefs working in restaurants and hotels here in Rwanda have been noting that the festival is an opportunity to showcase and promote different types of the Rwandan cuisine. The announced festival correlated with tourism promotion as well as marketing of Kigali City as a culinary excellence hub.
akamaro bifite ni kimwe ni ukwereka icyambere ni ukwereka isi.
The importance of the festival is to showcase the uniqueness of the Rwandan cuisine, since our cuisine is special since it is also healthy. It protects against various diseases. Let's say if it is meat, we have our own way of cooking it. We also have our own food, such as beans and sweet potatoes and eggplant, and we cook them in our own way, and this cannot cause diseases. Instead, it is a medicine in some cases, and this will assist in marketing our own cuisine around the world.
hari abantu bazi guteka kandi hari indyo nziza zifite abantu ubuzima bw'abantu akamaro.
Now, it is planned that this competition will include different cuisines from all continents. At its hub, the festival will feature a cooking competition, providing a platform for chefs to present their culinary skills and vie for top honors. The goal is to create a platform that utilizes local ingredients while adhering to international culinary standards as well. The festival is scheduled to take place from the 23rd to the 24th of this month of March, organized by Satya Limited and Rwandan chefs.
The Taste of Kigali event, we will be coming specially under the Indian pavilion with the Indian food, and we will have the variety of food at the event. Especially our food, we call that the food is not just the food, but the food serves many purposes. Food connects people, food makes people friends. Wherever you say you want to say hello, you invite a person over food. Sometimes the businesses, sometimes the friendship, they start over the food, and the food should be served as to receive a person. Food serve the nutrition, and food serves. In India, the food also is served as medicine. That food can treat you, and food brings happiness.
Be sure to participate in that festival if you can. Now, let us move on to other matters. 48 girls have returned to their families after a year at the Tagata Rehabilitation Center, where they learned vocational skills that will help them as they integrate back into society. One of the girls once had the opportunity to go to South Africa to study, but became a drug addict due to peer influence, completely turning her life upside down.
The reason why I'm here, I was addicted to narcotic drugs, using heroin and cocaine. So that's the reason why I've been here. So it was because of peer pressure. I wanted to show everybody that I was cool. So showing them that I was cool, I had to use the drugs, but the drugs are really bad. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do anything without it. So I had withdrawals, they call them withdrawal symptoms. so it was very hard for me. The lessons I've learned here, I've learned values, I've learned taboos, and I've learned working with my own hands. I've learned a lot here, so that's some of the things that I've learned here. After leaving this place, I'm going to make my own workshop outside there because I love fashion. So that's basically what I'm going to put hard work into. I'm going to do fashion. I'm going to start working with some of the colleagues here and others outside there.
The 1 year spent at the Gitagata Rehabilitation Center has given that girl and the 47 others an opportunity to start over, and their parents and guardians are happy about the second chance the children have been given. Administrators at the center have urged the parents to protect their children from the very real danger of relapsing. The Gitagata Rehabilitation Center currently holds 700 people, and there are up to 10 times that number in other centers countrywide. That is all we have time for. Thank you again for joining us. Join us again next time with Martina Ibera. I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.